Hello, everyone. My guest today is Denise Schwartz. She's a licensed physical therapist with over 35 years of clinical experience. She graduated in 1988 and founder and owner of the Manual Touch Physical Therapy located in Wheeling, Illinois. This practice includes a whole body integrative approach to healing. Denise holds certifications in integrated manual therapy, applied functional science, functional gait, and her clinic blends manual therapy, movement science, athlete-focused care, helping patients recover from chronic pain and injuries with traditional methods fall short. Denise is also passionate about patient education, community outreach, using workshops and blocked content to promote natural healing strategies. Denise, welcome to the show. We're really happy to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us when did you decide to become a physical therapist, and when did you open your clinic?
Oh, goodness. I was just writing up my PT journey. I've been doing storytelling. So I was creating my story. I'll try to keep it brief. Um, when I was in college, I liked science and math, wound up in a pre-med track. Realized I didn't really want to be a doctor. And a friend of mine who is now a doctor suggested I look into physical therapy. I was a gymnast in high school and I loved movement and understanding how things worked. And so I looked into it. And so I fortunately got into school. Uh, so here I am.
Okay. And then, so how long did it take for you to start considering opening a practice? From what I read, you were practicing in a hospital, right, in acute care first. And then how many years did it take for you to open your practice?
Well, let's see. Graduated PT school in 1988. I worked at a level one trauma hospital for 14 years. The first couple of years, I did more inpatient, and then I've been an outpatient ever since. Along the way, I started studying this non traditional therapy called integrated manual therapy. And I left the hospital in 2002, I think, and I worked for the company called Center IMT for 7 years. And then at some point, let's see, it was in 2010, as the company was self imploding, I kind of woke up and I wasn't connecting with it anymore. I'm like, it's time to go on my own. So it wasn't a conscious, I've always wanted to do my own private practice. That wasn't my long range goal. It just sort of organically happened that way. When I worked for Center MT, I was in this clinic where we currently are. And so when we parted ways, I just took over the practice. It was a natural thing to do. I had a caseload. It wasn't very large, but I had a caseload that just carried over with me. And so it just felt like the right thing to do. And at the time when I was working for Center MT, we were seeing it was a type of modality where we saw complex medical patients and people who really didn't get better elsewhere, and sort of abandoned all traditional PT as we just did this manual therapy. And I realized I really loved some of the stuff we did traditionally and exercise and movement. And so when I went out on my own, I combined the two and use whatever tools the person needs at that moment. So I see a variety of patients who I do a lot of exercise with them, more functional movement, really based in the Gary Gray approach, which is functional movement. And it combines well with the integrated manual therapy approach of finding where in the body is limiting you from moving or healing. And so, kind of looking at all the pieces, not just tunnel vision of working on knee pain or ankle pain. It's just like, why did you get that? And what else in your body isn't moving or working? So you keep aggravating that place.
Yeah, no, I absolutely whole body approach. I love that approach, and as an occupational therapist myself, we were always taught, you gotta treat the whole body and not just the injury itself, right? So
Yep.
Denise, I just to clarify, so we're working for this clinic, and then they just shut down, and you took over the lease
Well,
initially.
so we were sort of a franchise with them. So their main office was in Connecticut, and we had outlying clinics throughout the country. And the clinics, things started financially not doing well. They were closing clinics. And here in the Chicago area, we had a clinic in Elmhurst and in Wheeling, where I currently am. and we were doing okay financially. They were going to keep us open, but I felt in my gut that it was time to move on. So I just took over the practice. I kept, we didn't have that much equipment. I had a high-low table, some treatment tables, a bunch of books, and I just took over the lease of the office, and so I was fortunate because we had already built out the clinic. I didn't have major startup costs because I just took over the practice in the physical space, same physical space.
Interesting. And were you already busy 5 days a week, or did you start, maybe 3 times a week, or how was it in the first couple of months of starting it?
Well, when I became the manual touch on my own, I probably was only averaging 10 to 15 visits a week. Everybody was scheduled for an hour. Maybe I'd fluctuate between 15 to 20 over the next few years. So I supplemented and I think I did that over 3 days. I don't remember what I did in the beginning. I always sort of kept myself open 4 days a week. At any rate, I supplemented. I did contract work.
So you did. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest pain point for those clinicians that start a clinic, right? Initially, it's that what do we do, right? So a lot of times you get maybe 2 days that you get 5 to maybe 8 patients, but the rest of the week you have empty schedule, and a lot of people don't know what to do. So yeah, I think contracting work is very common, right? Doing contract in home health, or maybe doing like some like filling in an outpatient facility. Very cool. And what did you make your first hire? So you opened in 2010, right? Was it within the first 6 months, or was it in the first year? Do you remember your first hire and what it was?
It was a long time down the line. I had to build up my caseload to really average between 25 to 30 visits. So interestingly, in 2019, so that would be 9 years, just before the pandemic, I was just ready to hire someone.
Interesting. That's so you're in charge of the front office, right? Responsibilities, treating. I guess a
Well,
lot of
I have a front office person. Front office person not on site. Maybe that's the wrong. I didn't answer that correctly. My first PT hire was 9 years later. 10 years later. My first hire was a biller. An
Eller.
insurance biller, yeah. So she has her own Yeah, so she has her own, billing and coding practice, and she's 2, 3 hours away from here. And then so I started that right away. I knew I wanted to do partial insurance-based, so I'm in network with 2 insurances, and that's it.
Oh, which insurances are these?
Blue Cross and Medicare.
And Medicare. Okay. Okay,
Yep.
very good. And everybody else you treat as cash based, or you actually treat them as out of network patients. So in other words, do you actually submit like a super bill, to the insurer? You send billing to the insurance as out of network, or you just give a super bill to the patient for the ones you
No,
know?
when someone's coming from out of network, we still bill for them, and I typically provide them my cash rate. So we work with them. Um, and so that hasn't been a real sticky point for the people who have contacted me. I don't
Okay.
think I've lost too many people because I'm not in network. Uh, you know, Chicago is a pretty high Blue Cross and of course Medicare. Blue Cross is very big in Chicago area. So and they pay pretty well. Uh,
Makes
almost
sense.
almost as well as Medicare.
Okay. And then so you say you hired your biller, so I guess that was you contracted a billing company in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah. So she gets a
That
percentage of my
received
model.
results.
Yeah, what I receive from insurance. She doesn't get a percentage from any cash clients.
Okay.
So,
I
you
mean,
know,
from the get-go, you were in network with 2 insurances?
yes.
So for those listeners interested in starting a clinic or still debating to be in network or out of network, how did you make that decision, that to be in network with these particular insurances and to be out of network with the rest of them?
I wanted to be more accessible to people. I also wanted to build hopefully quicker, and it was a challenge. And I mean, I have friends who have cash-based clinics and are doing well, but I was someone who didn't like just explode right away. And I wanted to be more accessible. So I wanted to see my seniors who are on Medicare and Blue Cross. So that was why I chose that. And it seemed to be good enough. My biller did all the paperwork to get me uh, up and credentialed. Blue Cross went pretty quickly. Medicare was about a 9-month process before I started getting payment from them.
That's very unusual. Why did it take 9 months? Medicare is usually the fastest. It takes about, 60 days to.
Well, again, this was 15 years ago to get credentialed. If an I wasn't dotted or a T wasn't crossed, I don't know.
I see.
But the back paid me. So, but at 9 months, I got a big, and then we haven't had a problem since.
I'm sure that was a struggle. You're seeing all these patients. You're just open a clinic. You have bills to pay, and then you're waiting for
Correct.
9 months to get paid. For those listeners that maybe just open a clinic or kind of contemplating to open a clinic, and they hear 9 months to get paid, that might be just, oh my god, like maybe I shouldn't do it, right? So now to this topic, did you save some money to, like as a cushion, to kind of protect yourselves for these type of issues, right? And then, cover yourself for rent, for other expenses.
Currently or back then?
No, that I'm still trying to get, take, I want you to take me through the journey when you just open, right? I want listeners to understand, how painful it was or it wasn't in the
I
first.
think I just did more. I think I just did more contract work, if I remember right.
Got it. Okay.
My expenses were pretty low. I have rent and utilities, phone.
Mm,
Um, yeah. So it was okay. I think I think I had a line of credit with the bank. I think I got it right away. I can't remember now.
well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Denise, and then you mentioned to get a biller. So you said you did have a front office staff, like from the get.
No. She's just it meant her. Yeah. I don't.
Ah,
I actually don't have anybody on site with me. It's just me.
uh-huh. So you currently it's just you. There's no other people working with you in the office, correct?
No office people. I have another part-time PT who comes in twice a week.
Got it. Okay, and currently, so from like those patients with insurances, right, like Medicare, Blue Cross. So you're the one checking eligibility yourself, or is your billing company's in charge of that?
Oh, she does that.
So the billing company is doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And then the super bills, that's all billing company, correct?
Yeah, the billing comes, she bills everybody. Um, if it's strictly a cash person who's coming in, we're not billing their insurance and they're paying cash. I keep track of that on a spreadsheet, if you will. Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. And then uh what changed? So you started in 2010, so that's 15 years ago. So is you in the same office? Are there any things that you're doing differently now that you maybe did 15 years ago in terms of operations?
Well, you know, because I didn't explode within 2 to 3 years, I needed to do something.
Sure.
So I had to embrace marketing. I had to go out of my comfort zone. I read a lot. I listened to lots of podcasts about marketing. I got a business mentor through the Small Business Administration, which is free. And if you do that, make sure when you go online, you apply through the SBA. It's called a SCORE mentorship. You want to find someone who does healthcare. So I knew of someone who was a SCORE mentor who used to have her own contract agency and was a speech therapist. So I found my way to her. So she understood healthcare and small business. And when she told me to do something, I did it. And I came in every month and I met my goals. I also, uh, probably around that time, there were a lot of PT business coaches that were exploding or were showing up in my Facebook feed and LinkedIn or whatever. So I joined up with one coach, maybe two, I don't know, but I followed a few. And I got some good tips on the best marketing to do for a small practice. And I learned before even that right away, marketing to doctors was not the way to go. They all have their own PT clinics. So it's marketing to the community. And so what is the best tools for marketing to the community? Um, I also figured out on my own that I needed to market to the community. I got myself into the library and did a talk, but I realized right away that my topic wasn't correct. It wasn't connecting. So uh,
What was that topic?
it was an integrative manual therapy thing. So it was a little too holistic and too out there for people. Um, and so what I really learned from the PT business coach is what really works when you do a presentation. What is the material? What is the information that people need to hear to make them want to come in? You don't want to give away the store, but you want to give them really valuable information. So I have a template of what I do. So, and I currently work through our local YMCA and offer 6 or 7 webinars a year on various pain issues.
Mhm.
And then, so I had the small SBA score mentor. And then early on, I was meeting with somebody I'm on a board, and my executive director suggested I do a newsletter. I'm like, oh, I can't write. I can't do that every month. She goes, just do it like 3 times a year or something like that. I'm like, all right. So I gave it a go. And it turns out I'm a pretty good blog writer. I enjoyed it. And we teach this is what I tell PTs when they reach out to me personally when they start a new business. We teach all day long. And if you wrote down everything you teach somebody all day, you would find 100 blog posts in a day that you could write. Um, and I look at our role as primary as educators. Nobody taught people how to sit, stand, go to the bathroom, anything. And so we're always teaching little pieces. So you can break that down into all sorts of stuff. So eventually that morphed into my quarterly e-newsletter to once a month maybe. And I was doing it through a MailChimp. I forget what those are called. Um,
Yeah, Mailchimp. Yeah, that's email marketing. Right.
email, yeah.
Mm.
And that got a little too much for me to do because by then I was not doing contract work because that was probably, when did I hire my marketing person? Year 7, maybe 6, 7. Yeah, maybe year 6 or 7. I needed to hire somebody to help me.
Was it a contract? Was it a contractor, like a company to help you, or was that a direct hire?
It was a marketing person, so it was freelance. So
Freelance.
I've been I've been really fortunate when I need something, they sort of kind of fall in my lap. And the first number of years, I swapped services. I My then husband created my website. Um, I swapped services for graphic design. I swapped services for marketing brochure. Um, and then the Score Mentor is free as well. So I had lots of free stuff for a long time, and then it was time to hire somebody to help me with the email marketing and really kind of hone in on my messaging and revamp my website. And I needed an IT company to manage my website because when you have your husband or spouse create it, they're not very good at keeping up to date on stuff. So you need to get that. So that was also early on. I got an IT company. Um, so the marketing person, one of my patients, I was mentioning to her, she goes, oh, where I work, my marketing person's looking for extra work. We got on the phone, we hit it off. So I got my marketing person, and so then we took off from there.
So Denise, thank you. This is very, very valuable. So let me just go back. So one of the resources you mentioned is SBA. Was the SBA the SCORE program?
Yeah,
Was it
Small Business Administration has a division called Score Mentors.
SCORE Mentors? Okay, and that's how you were able to find a help care mentor, right? Free of charge at that point.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
were these monthly calls, weekly calls with the mentor? How frequent were they?
Initially, she had an office in downtown Chicago. I'm in a north suburb, and I would take the train in and I would meet with her in person. And I think we met every 4 or 5 weeks. I'm going to guesstimate for couple of years.
Mm.
And then it spread out a little longer. And then, of course, then when the pandemic hit, we met via phone call. Maybe I was done by then with, yeah. Mostly I met in person with her until, and then sometimes she would meet me up north. We met in the northern suburbs because we both lived up here.
Okay. Great.
And then it was phone calls. Hmm?
Very good. And then in marketing, so then you mentioned you hired a marketer at that point a little later, right? Uh, what type of marketing besides email marketing? What else was that marketing person doing for you?
So
Like
we,
only shell campaigns, or were they doing like physical door to door type of marketing? They
yeah,
Google marketing or like a social media marketing at all?
yeah, so we did. We tried Facebook ads. We did some Google ads through my IT company. Um, the email newsletter. Um,
And when you say email newsletter, was the target audience, was that your previous patients? Where were you getting those people
yeah,
that were?
so those were everybody on my email list. So um, let me think. Let's see, the pandemic was 2020. I would say about 7 years in, I started doing presentations because I had already at year 6 or whatever
Mm.
hired the PT business coach who gave me the template, taught us the template to do presentations. So I got myself into the local YMCA and did maybe 6 or 7 presentations a year in person there. And I would take my mother came with, and she was a really good person to get everybody's email. So the goal, you know, the real my goal is to educate the community and really to take care of themselves. The real business goal was to get everybody's email so they'd be on my list so I could email them every week and they could see my name over and over again. And that's how you get people to come in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it was nice. Oh, and then I did some health fairs. I did some health fairs. And again, my mother came with me. And she was really good. Oh, my daughter, she's really good at this, and she does a very different kind of therapy, and let's get on her email list. So, yeah, so that was very helpful.
Interesting. Very good. And then
Yeah, I forgot about that. Health fairs. Health fairs were helpful in the beginning.
did you track your marketing engagement in terms of like the leads coming from, from like social media marketing or newsletters and things like that? Or
Yeah, we did. We did some in the beginning. I wasn't real good about that, and my EMR system wasn't very good at which I'm currently using. Um, it was hard to truly capture that in an easy way. But I did keep track of it for a while, where people were coming from.
okay,
Um,
makes sense. So one of the things
so I was getting in person was a better ROI than webinars. And doing webinars, I can't get people's emails as readily as I did in person.
these in person meaning like in person seminars, right? In
Correct.
person workshops, right? Versus webinars. Okay. Okay. What about health fairs? Were they like did they have a good ROI?
Not
These are
great.
those are hard to track. I know. It's like you not really.
Yeah, but it increased my email list.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, I think I forgot to mention this, at some point my IT company really worked on the SEO, and my marketing person makes sure that my blog posts have good SEO. I'm not getting into how you do that because I don't really know. Um,
That's okay.
but
Nope.
and then the other biggest key for marketing is getting Google reviews. And you have to not be afraid to ask your patients to write a Google review. That has been that I probably, if I had to guesstimate, probably get 2 to 5 people a month finding me online. My blog posts are people find me through that. Whatever they're googling and searching, if
What
you
why
write.
do you what do you publish your blog posts?
I'm sorry.
What do you publish your blog posts?
When?
Where?
Oh, where? Just on my website.
Just website. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, you know, we were looking into finding other places to do it, and I think we dropped off. I'll have to bring that up to my current marketing person. um, so she does social media. My first marketing person wound up bringing in her cousin to help, and then my first one got a bit, became a CMO, and so couldn't do freelance anymore. So now I work with the cousin, and she's very good at social media marketing and really SEOing my blog post because it has increased my engagement online as well. So you want to write about unusual things. So, for example, I would Google Analytics will tell you what's the most searched topic. So I've written 2 or 3 blog posts about rib pain, and that's actually, like, the number 1 search. What do you do when you have rib pain? And then, I don't know if it's number 2, but I've written a few things about hypermobility and EDS, Ehlers-Danlos, and I'm influx of people with hypermobility.
Yeah, that's a very smart way of doing it, right? So first you get analytics on the keywords, right? That people search the most, right? And then based on those keywords, that's when you decide, which topic and what to include in the blog post, which makes total sense. Thank you for sharing that. And then
Can I say
you
one
mentioned,
other thing about
yeah.
keywords? Unbeknownst to me, when I created my name of my business, The Manual Touch,
Mm-hmm.
there's kind of a backstory to that. My husband had a business that with the initials TMT, and so I said, "Oh, The Manual Touch." So that was like my first email, like Yahoo email was The Manual Touch at Yahoo or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just took that name. However, with the word manual in my name, people search for manual therapy. So
That
think
help.
about that when you're creating a name.
You know what's interesting? I agree with you 100%. But like I'm based in New York, and I speak to a lot of business owners, like clinic owners or therapists that are looking to start clinics. And one of the things I keep hearing lately, it's really hard to get the name that you want. Uh,
Oh,
in New York, you need to get Department of Education. I'm pretty sure it's very similar in other states to approve your name, right? And it consists if it includes something that's I don't know, not really related to your profession, which manual therapy is related, but a lot of times it gets rejected. So it's a lot harder in the last couple of years to get the name that you want. And a lot of times you want a name that stands out. So it's interesting to see, like, I'm sure we have manual therapy in New York. I've seen a few actually, but I think it
yeah.
is a great name. It's a catchy name. It's easy to remember. And as like you said, a lot of people actually interested in manual therapy because they might have went to like a chain physical therapy place where manual therapy is rarely provided, and then they're looking for an alternative because they didn't get enough help, right, at the other place. So, Denise, I wanted to also talk about one of the topics you mentioned earlier, right, doctor referrals. So, it's a very controversial topic in physical therapy space, um, and a lot of therapists, like you mentioned, do not look towards the doctor for referrals, and others do, right? Do you like now, 15 years into your business? Do you have any physicians that send you referrals, or you still only rely heavily on
No, I actually I do. But I never I was fortunate. The If you remember my initial origin story, the friend who told me to try physical therapy, who is now a doctor, he refers to
Mm.
me. He refers a lot of people to me. Uh,
What specialist is here?
he's internal medicine, primary care.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
And then I've had some patients who are doctors, so they refer to me. I've My mother's doctor liked what I did, um, some of her other people, and so she's referred. So it sort of just naturally happened.
Right.
And I had done some outreach to like chiropractors way back in the day, and I think a couple they used to refer. But it's not easy to get a doctor on board unless you're treating them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now, right, in 2025, out of 100% of your referrals, what percent would you say are coming from the doctors? Is it
Uh,
less than 25%? I guess what you get. Yeah, less than 20. Okay.
less than 20%.
And what would you say the best source of referrals for you right now? Is it blog posts? Is it Google reviews? Is it newsletters?
Well, well, my highest, of course, is returning patients.
Sure.
People who I've seen in the past, they come back.
Mm-hmm.
After that, uh, is word of mouth, and then it would be internet presence.
Right.
And yeah, so I think when people search for whatever they're looking for, I can't remember what people search for. I should keep better track of that. I might forget to ask that. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's PT near me, and I come up, and then they see I have 40 Google reviews that are all 5-star, and then they kind of like what my website says. So it takes some. You have to really personalize your website and let people know who you are and how you work, and let them know that you're patient centric and focused on what they want, and that I'm there to facilitate and be there for them and meet them where they're at. And
Absolutely.
that's the biggest component. I think I get a lot of people who haven't gotten better elsewhere because the therapist, their experience wasn't good, or they got worse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the PTs need to know how to really gauge when someone's ready to move along. So that's a skill, that an experience that takes a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then based on your approach, right, the whole body approach, I, I mean, I'm assuming majority of clinics around you are more like chain clinics, or you have a few mom and pops clinics like yourself that offer something similar. So I just want to kind of understand your competition. Do you have similar competition in the area?
Yeah, there's quite a few small practices like me, and then there's of course big chains, and then there's small practices in varying sizes: 1 person, 2 person, 5 person, 5 clinics. So it's a pretty inundated market here in the Chicago area.
Hmm.
Um, and as such, in my opinion, Facebook ads didn't work at all. I mean, I got nothing from Facebook ads. Uh, and I think it has to do with, there's just a lot out there competition wise. So the best bet is to word of mouth and get on.
I agree. There's nothing better than the word of mouth, right? I personally think, having a balance, between word of mouth, obviously, Google reviews is big. I agree. I encourage every clinic owner to get reviews and, hopefully good reviews. And there's nothing wrong with asking people to leave a review. Speaking of reviews, do you ask your patients at the initial eval, or like when they're almost ready to get discharged or upon discharge? When is a good time to ask for a review?
A good time to ask for a review is when the patient feels like they had a really big win. Like, oh, I can now bend down and tie my shoe, or I can put my shirt on now, or, I feel I'm back to running again. So I'm like, oh,
Mm.
please write me a Google review.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you hear that moment where they're able to finally do something they couldn't do for a long time, very good. And do you,
Yeah.
like, you ask them to write a review? Do you text them like a review link, or have them scan? Do you have a QR code in the clinic or anything like that?
On my website, there's a tab that says reviews, and the drop down says write a review, and that'll take you to the Google page.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Can
Very.
I backtrack a second? I'm sorry. I realized there was one other thing that I did marketing wise early on, was I created some ebooks. So that was also, yeah, so that was, so people, when they find me online, they can download that and they automatically get onto my email list.
I actually saw that on your website, and you have a few right now. So I really like that. And then let me ask you those, were you the one writing these ebooks? And if so, how did you come up with the topics in the beginning?
I did write them. Then I did have a writer edit them
Mm-hmm.
and fine tune it. And then I had a marketing person format it so it looked nice.
Mm-hmm.
How did I come up with the topics? I think it was the most common. I think it was when I was working with the PT business coaches that I signed up with. So the ebook sort of tied in with the presentation. So there's one, tips on back pain, tips for shoulder pain, foot pain. Um, and then I think I created this one on my own. It's called mindful movement throughout the day. My tips for mindful movement. It's basically how to live your life.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I have a niche where I treat runners. So I wrote something for runners.
Very good. Do you track how many downloads you have, like on a monthly basis, or that's not something you do anymore?
I I do not. However, it's probably available. So I know my IT company set up the way it's downloaded through Ninja Forms or something, and it goes right.
Yeah, generally you have to
Email
fill out a
goes right
form, right? You have to fill out a form in order
right down. Yeah,
to leave
yeah.
your.
They fill out a form, and I think there's a captcha, and it goes right into Mailchimp. So I'm sure the data is there. I just haven't captured it.
Right. Okay, good. Um, so we talked. I mean, it's very interesting. So we talked about your marketing initiatives, right? And what kind of, what you started with and what you're doing currently. So I'm assuming you don't do any social media marketing anymore, right? There's anything that you stopped doing besides social media marketing, that you actually did in the beginning?
Well, we're still doing social media marketing. We're just not paying for it.
Got it.
We're not doing ads. She's still dropping stuff on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. I think it's all going on all three.
Are you still doing in person workshops?
No, I would like to. I I am not a good cold caller to try to get into somewhere, and it would be nice to, if I could, get somebody to start making calls to see if I can get in somewhere to do
Mhm.
personal presentations. I have not moved on it very readily. So
Okay, that makes sense.
yes,
Denise,
what did they drop? We did Google AdWords for a few months way back when. So I'm not doing that. I'm sure there was. Oh, you know what? The other thing I do is we send out in snail mail birthday cards to everyone on my email list.
oh wow, I really like that. So like actual birthday
Yeah,
cards, not
it's a postcard, so it's a little, so it's not in an envelope.
in the mail, in your mail. Wow,
Yeah, people.
Gary, that's a very unique one because most clinics just do like hey, happy birthday, like via text message or email or sometimes phone call. But I think this is very unique, and I really like this idea of sending like birthday
Yes,
cards.
I don't remember if I came up with the idea or not, but I've had two versions. The graphic designer came up with one, and I used that card for 2 or 3 years, and then we did a new one. I think it's time to do another new one. And my mom actually does uh, um, writes out all the addresses on there for me.
Oh, so wait, so it's a manual process? So, like you guys okay.
Yeah, yeah, she hands.
Series.
So I take my EMR system, I plug in a month in under patient
Sure.
find
Like
way, whatever it is, yeah. And
is
then,
there a birthday report? Do you have a birthday report?
well, wait, everybody's birthday is in there, so
No, like actual reports around. Okay, I want to see everybody's birthday from July 1st to July 30th, for instance.
correct, yeah, so July. And I draw everybody, even if they're discharged. And so pull up the list and download it as a spreadsheet. I get rid of any names of people who have passed on or they've moved, and then we send out birthday cards every month. And I get thank you from people all the time. So
Wow,
they'll,
really cool.
yeah.
Really cool. Thank you. I mean, I personally think it's a great way to kind of maintain a relationship with your current patients, with discharge patients, and a good way to remind them about yourself, right? And it's a really nice gesture. Um, Denise, so how do you maintain individualized and hands-on treatment in a world that's moving towards volume-based care? Like, what's your strategy?
Well, I think it's based on your goal. My goal is not to manage people and grow really big. My goal is to I have another part-time therapist who at some point is going to retire earlier than me, is to find another therapist who wants to work as much as me or as more, and that's about it. I'm not really my clinic is small. We can really only have 2 people in here at one time. Certainly we can stagger hours and days, so I think I sat down and I figured out how many hours a week I could have in here. So it could be like 3 part-time people.
Sure.
And so that's how we do it, knowing that there's gonna be financial, I only have a ceiling of how much I can make. Uh, I like one-on-one approach. I suppose I could cut people down from an hour to 45 minutes and get more people in, but at this point, I don't need to. So I think it's really knowing what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve and understanding what your limitations are and what my energy level is and what I can accomplish.
Yeah, makes sense. And how many square feet is your clinic?
920.
Okay. So like about almost 1,000. Okay. That's actually very average in your city. So a lot of clinics are actually that size.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's we see a lot of clinics. It's approximately 1,000 to 1,200 square feet because of the cost of rent, and it's not uncommon. And we see clinics that are even smaller. Okay, and how many visits do you do a month approximately?
Between my other therapist and I think we're fluctuating between 130 to 150.
Okay, okay, and do you track any KPIs
I look it up occasionally.
occasionally? Okay,
Yeah.
like
I'm
what
not
what's
so good at doing that because
yeah.
I'm not looking to grow big. I just am not making that much of an effort to look at be real sticklers for that.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, listen, if it's just, I mean, I guess for someone whose goal is just to, have your comfortable patient load, making sure the bills are paid and you're getting your monthly salary, as long as your patient value doesn't drop significantly, I guess, that's your biggest metric. So again, and that's a very common goal among therapists. They really care about patient care versus sometimes kind of making a lot of money, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of times when you kind of, and I'm not saying we shouldn't strive to kind of grow a clinic, right? But a lot of times when we try to grow too fast, the patient care gets on the way, right? And then we're
Exactly.
not providing the best care to our patients. Uh, Denise, thank you. What advice would you give to clinicians looking to open their first clinic?
I tell people a few things. One, you have to have a vision of what you want to do. What is your ideal patient? What are the patients that you don't want to treat? You want to know how many hours you want to put in. You want to know what you don't know and ask for help. There's only so much that we can do. Swapping services is great. I did a lot of that for many years. Um, you need to have a plan in place to build a practice. I mean, I don't know too many people who can hang up a shingle and then have a full practice right away. So you need to embrace something that maybe you're not comfortable doing, such as writing blog posts. You need to have an online presence. Um, you do have the funding to have a physical space, or do you want it to look somewhat different? So I think you have to kind of know what it is that you want and what you can tolerate. What are your financial constraints? What are your financial needs? And what do you want to do? What does it look like? Don't treat kids. I've never done peds. I don't want to do that. Uh, you know, patient population, traditional rehab of what we would call a neuro patient. That's not my niche either. So, and then you have to set your boundaries. I work Tuesday through Friday. I don't work Mondays. I'm not available.
It's great.
I
That's
don't want to work on the weekend, so I'm not available. So, you don't, in the beginning when you're kind of in that desperate mode of like, oh, I just got to do whatever they want. I got to see everybody. You got to find a line between, it's not going to be fun if you just say yes whenever somebody wants and then you don't learn to build boundaries and then they don't respect you either. So you need to stick to what you want to do, what what you're capable of doing, understanding your personal goals, your limitations, your energy level. You don't want to see me after 5 o'clock at night. My brain is not that engaged. It's so I'll come in at 7, but I know what I'm capable of.
no, makes sense. And thank you for this advice. I think it's very valuable. It was great having you on the show. I appreciate your time and um, hoping to stay in touch.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really love actually doing this kind of thing. I get over like my business mentor that I got through SCORE will often refer some of her clients to me to ask me these same exact questions and to help guide them. And what I do find when people are starting out, everybody's very scared and they're like, oh, I can't do that, or I don't know what I can do. It's about getting out of your comfort zone and really doing the personal work to understand what your limitations are, what you don't know, what you do. You need to know what you don't know. I know there's a way to say it and I'm not saying it right, but you need to know what you do know and what you don't know and not be afraid to reach out for that kind of help. And then you never quite know what you're capable of doing when you sort of put in an effort. So I didn't know I could write a blog post. I'm not a fiction writer, but that's completely different. I, we teach all day long. You just have to translate it into words and then you can get someone to pretty it up and fix it up. Um, so
Yes,
don't be afraid.
stepping out of your comfort zone, I think, is extremely important, and I agree with you. And we all do once we start a business, because a lot of times we're only comfort zone until you need to be very, very uncomfortable. There's no other way to put it, right? You can't really succeed unless you
Exactly.
make yourself
And
uncomfortable.
if it's, I have an accountant and, there's things that I'm just not going to be able to do. Somebody else has to do it. So,
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Denise. Thank you.
well, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful
Yeah, yeah,
and a lot of
great.
fun.
Thank you for to being on a show. Appreciate you.